Welcome to round 5 of the SOAR Regional Race Series. We're back at Grand Bend Motorplex, this time on the Alien configuration. Now, if you've been paying attention from the last couple of rounds, you'll know the stakes for round 5 are pretty high. Up until this point, Zoli and I have been fairly close in points, but it's now reached a point where I basically have to win this race and both races at round 6, which is a doubleheader. The goal of this round will be to push as much as I can and not leave anything on the table. We need the win if we want to go for that championship. Of course, we are starting on the front row for this race. Unfortunately, in the middle position, as I am down about 8 points on Zoli in the Amateur Supersport Championship. Yes, another perfect start. We're going to keep our head down, try to find that rhythm, try to put as much distance between Zoli and I as we can. Not sure what happened with his start here, but he's all the way down in P4. Hopefully Rian and Nick can keep him back there. Looks like he got by Nick there. Not even half a lap in, and he's already in P3. So just skipping ahead here a little bit, we're on to lap 2. You'll see that even just on the second lap, the lead group here, the 3 of us, have already started to break away from the field. And you'll see Zoli gets by Rian right on the exit, pulling onto that back straight, so now he is right behind me. Now I do have a friend helping me out just by the start-finish straight. He's got a pit board and that's showing me exactly who is behind me and how far he is. So at this point I know it's Zoli and I see that there's a little bit of a gap. I think he was showing me 2 seconds. But I know we're only on lap 2. That gap is going to get smaller and smaller as the race goes on. Defense is going to be the name of the game here. Well, I no longer need the pit board. I can hear him. He's right on me. Not this time. Not this time. Trying to keep a bit of a mid-track entrance. Trying to close the door. If he's going to want to try and get around me there, he's going to have to do it on the outside. And that's going to kill his drive pulling onto the back straight. Or at least that's what I'm counting on. Trying to defend the inside line a little bit, but here he comes, braking very late into the carousel on the outside, but goes in just way too deep. I'm able to keep that inside line. He tries to come back, but has to check up. I have the line. Whew. Time to take a little bit of a breather. He almost made it through there, but we did keep the defense up. I know he's going to try it again, and we have to be ready for it. Now, I knew I was a little bit slow into turn 3, but when you're leading the race, energy conservation is a big factor. I used this area to rest up a little bit, so I'd have the energy when I needed it. So again, you'll see me really keep the middle of the track there, not leaving a lot of room for an inside pass. The really goal was to try to kill his drive to put distance between him and I on the back straight, so if he were to try to pass me on the brakes in the carousel, it'd be a very deep lunge. I see he goes for it again. I see him on the outside, but again, he just goes too deep, and I have the inside line. There's nothing he can really do there. We're able to maintain that position. Okay, I'm starting to feel pretty good now. I know that if he's going to make a pass, it's probably going to be on the back straight in the carousel, and I have a pretty good defense strategy to counter that. So we just got to do the same thing we've been doing for the next 8 laps. Let's see if we can put it together, keep that championship hope alive. I messed up my braking here a little bit, which hurt my drive, and that was enough for him to tuck up the inside of me. Now he's thinking of trying something else. He tried the outside a couple times, didn't work, goes for the inside. I see him, there's nothing I can really do. He's able to hold the line, and he's out in front of me. We're now down to second place, which would put us out of the championship contention. We have to make an attack back right away. I'm right on his tail, into turn 1, beautiful pass. I'm able to hold the line, go a little bit wide, but that's all right because we then have the inside line into turn 2. Whew, we're back in the lead of the race. This is starting to get nerve-wracking. Okay, we gotta be a little bit more careful. We cannot make that mistake again. We need a good drive on the exit. That's more like it. Oh man, even still, you can tell Zoli wants this just as bad as I do. He comes up alongside of me. But again, I have that inside line. Not much he can do. Oh, but he comes up alongside of me, keeps the inside line into the dogleg, but I don't let off. I close that door on him and keep that lead position. Oh man, that was a good defense. If you know Grand Bend, you know that dogleg is a little bit dicey. 2 bikes there side by side would surely end up with one in the grass. Zoli is hungry for that win. He knows that if he wins this, I'm all but out for the championship. Skipping ahead here a little bit, for the first time we have a bit of a gap between Zoli and I. Things are starting to look good. But there's bad news. We got lap traffic coming up ahead, and in the past, it hasn't gone so well with them. I'm pushing as much as I can here. You'll hear the rear wheel actually step out and lose traction through the dogleg. Alright, getting by that first lapper, but we got big problems. We got a group of about 3 or 4 in the infield. I know it's going to be dicey. It's so hard to predict when there's a group of them. I try to pick a line through, thread the needle. We pick the outside, which completely screws us here. Getting caught up, Zoli takes the inside. We're almost off the edge of the track here. Try to get back the time, but we just can't do it. Oh, we're in trouble now. Zoli's out in front. He's starting to break away, and we're losing so much time with this lap traffic here. Just absolutely kills my drive. You have no idea how frustrating this moment was for me. Okay, so things are not looking good. We were lapping a couple tenths apart throughout most of that race, and our pace is very, very similar. Because of that lap traffic, that gap grew to a couple of seconds. I would not only have to try to close that gap, but then also get by him. But it's racing, and we're still going to come across more lap traffic, so who knows at this point. So coming up on the last lap here, unfortunately the lap traffic we came across was just individual riders, so very easy to get by. Unfortunately that does mean we will be finishing this race behind Zoli in P2. And that puts us out of the championship contention for the SOAR Amateur 600 title. But there is still round 6, which is a doubleheader. And maybe Zoli will have a DNF, or something will happen to his bike. You never know, but the chances are not looking so good. Regardless, that was a absolute phenomenal race. One of the best I've ever had. Most emotional for sure. And ultimately, that's why we do this. Battles we've had all year have really brought the skills up for both of us tremendously. It's ended up with both of us racing as pros for next year, which is definitely something to be proud of, I think. Anyways, there's still the amateur superbike title, which I'm still eligible for, so we'll see how the results go for that. So in this class, I am 14 points behind the championship leader, Brad, and I also didn't have a very good qualifying result. So unfortunately, we are starting on the second row. You'll see in the middle there is John Cadman, who's on an Aprilia RSV4. Quite a bit quicker than the 2009 R6. So we're starting in P6 here. Let's see what we can do. Oh Nathan Playford in front of me has a terrible start on the KTM RC8C. Really cool bike. But we had a tremendous start going from 6th all the way to 2nd. We'll try to keep forcing that. Zoli does get by, putting me in 3rd. So does Flanjack almost, but we're able to close that back in, entering into turn 3. Trying to keep that corner speed up as much as we can and try to get a good drive out of 3. I think we're in a pretty good position now. So right now the race leader is Brad Lepore, who is leading the championship, and Zoli is just behind him. We're a pretty tight group, but as soon as we hit that back straight, I think the thousands will start to stretch their legs a little bit, especially Brad's. Brad is on one fast bike. So is Flanjack. You'll see him come up alongside of me there. Not a whole lot I can do. And you'll see John Cadman on the Aprilia RSV4 right on my tail there. Yeah, not a lot you can do through that dog leg. That is a little bit of a sketchy spot, but John tries to line up the inside. Let's see if he can make it stick, and he does. Oh, that's not good news for me. We're in the infield now, and I'm behind a 1000, which is not a good place to be in when you get to that back straight. So we got Nathan Playford behind us, who's on the KTM RC8C. Somewhere between a 600 and 1000 in terms of power. We got Nick Flanjack a little bit slow into turn 5. We get around the outside of him, but again, it's so hard to make that pass stick, especially when you're trying to outdrive a 1000 on exit. You see Goran come up here with the Ducati V4, makes a nice pass around Playford, but he's out wide on the edge of the track, pushing him off the track surface, which kills his drive. But even still, that Ducati V4, just look at the way he goes by that KTM. And now he's on me, but I got other things to worry about, like Flanjack. Flanjack's just ahead of me, and I could see him into turn 1. I'm going to try lining him up for a move. Perfect, right on the inside line. We're able to hold that line, make a nice clean pass on him. Now the leaders in front are starting to break away a little bit, so it's going to be tough to try to close that gap. Alright, so just skipping ahead here a couple of laps. Not a whole lot has changed, except we put a bit of a gap on the riders behind us, which is great. And we now see Brad Lepore right ahead of me, the championship leader. Let's see if we can line up a move on him and see if we can make that stick. Right on the tail of him, exiting the dog leg, I have pretty good drive in the slipstream, and I make a nice pass right up the inside of turn 1. Go a little bit wide, but again, that's fine, because for turn 2, you have a good entry, and there's not a lot of room for him to get by you there. So we're in a pretty good position now. Zoli's way up ahead in first place. He's running his own race. But we're ahead of Brad, which is really important for the championship. And taking a look ahead, we have Cadman. Let's see if we can try to tail him. And the whole idea here is to try to stay on him until the back straight. Wave goodbye to him when we get to that back straight. And then maybe try to close it in. You'll see Brad with that 1000 just come blitzing by, but I am able to outbrake him into the carousel, and he stays behind me. I am having a bit of a hard time with John here as we cross the half distance mark, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I'm definitely being held up here through turn 3, but it's just such a difficult place to try to find a line to make a pass and then still get good drive out of it. So I'm not really trying to line a pass here. I'm trying to maintain corner speed and get a decent drive out. Obviously no match for the Aprilia, but on the brakes we make a lunge, the front end's shaking, and we're able to hold the line, pulling onto that back straight, but we're trying to outdrive an Aprilia, and look how close he gets there. And there comes Brad with that rocket ship of a Honda. You don't hear that very often. And after a bit of a shuffle for positions, I end up being first into the carousel with John and Brad right on my ass. John doesn't waste a lot of time. He tries to line me up on the inside of one, but ultimately I break a little bit too deep and he's not able to make that move. Okay, so we're in a pretty good position now. We're in second place. We got a whole bunch of angry 1000s behind us. So let's just try to maintain this. First place is out of the question. Like I said, Zoli was off doing his own race. Skipping ahead a couple of laps here, we're right near the end of the race. Now, I'm not sure exactly what happened to Brad, but I think in turn 1, he ran off the edge of the track, which put him in dead last. He did rejoin the track and ended up finishing in 5th, so a bit of damage limitation, but not great for his championship. And coming up near the end of the race here, John tries to make a move on me on that back straight. Not quite able to make it stick, but he's right on me. I think he's probably going to try something into 1 like he did before. And there it is. He's got good drive out of the dogleg, takes a really nice line on the inside in turn 1, but doesn't commit to it. I'm able to regain that position, and he falls back a little bit. And skipping to the last lap, you'll see I put a bit more of a gap on him through the infield, and he's not quite close enough to make a move. And I end up finishing second in this race, which is a good result. And importantly, there's quite a few points now between Brad and myself. Honestly, I'm really happy with how this race went. It's not easy fighting along the 1000s, and I had a really good battle with John. You'll see me giving the thumbs up there. Just an absolute blast. Very tiring though, I'll say that. And I felt it necessary to show John that the R6 has a little bit of power. The thing is, with a track like Grand Bend, for most layouts, the advantages of 1000 are not as significant as they would be at a track as Mosport or Calabogie. So even being down on motor, you can still be pretty competitive. And on to the last race of the day, the Lost Era Lightweight class. Again, absolutely huge class, and we are leading the championship in this one and starting from the front row, but not quite on pole position. I believe Jason Nash had that, but he missed out on this race. And a pretty good start, but RJ, a pro rider beside me there, got a great start as well. But I am able to take him into 1, and you'll see James Royce, another pro rider, also close on that. Just exiting turn 2 here, you'll see just how big this grid is, and luckily we are at the front of it. Now I know from lap times and qualifying results that I have the pace to be able to take this fairly comfortably, so I'm just going to put my head down, put a bit of a gap. I know lap traffic's always a factor in this, so I do want to have that safety buffer. But ultimately, we're able to maintain the P1 position throughout the whole race, and that's how we actually finished, which is great because it keeps us right up top of that championship. Just a little section with some lap traffic here. It can be a little bit dicey, but also fun to thread the needle. Reminds me of endurance racing a little bit. We race a Yamaha R3, and the endurance class has all bikes from the 300 up to the 1000 on track at the same time. So when you're trying to make a pass stick with the 300, well, you make some dirty passes at times. It's always good to be able to carry the flag around the track at least once in a weekend. So taking a look at the championship standings, it looks like Zoli is quite a bit ahead in Supersport, and he's on course for that title. In Superbike though, I'm only 6 points behind Brad, so at the next round, being a doubleheader, if I win both races, that'll put me tied with Brad, and I'll be at more race wins, which would give the championship to me, so that's one we'll be definitely fighting for. And in Lost Aero Lightweight, I'm pretty comfortably up ahead, so I'm fairly confident on that one. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and we're looking forward to the last round of the SOAR Regional Race Series at round 6. See you then!